Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our politics panel on the government's updated order on the removal of books from school libraries. But first, stalled teacher talks.
They're in schools right now working with kids day in and day out while this bargaining impasse is going on. They're doing their jobs because they care about kids. And the fact that they care about kids is why we find ourselves in this situation.
Alberta teachers say they're happy to come back to the table more than a week after walking away from talks and suggest the government needs to move beyond reiterating a deal already rejected. So, to get perspective from the province on the situation, we're joined now by the Minister of Finance and President of Treasury Board, Nate Horner. Minister Horner, good to see you, sir. Welcome to Alberta Primetime.
Very good to be here. Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Well, now you've issued a statement urging teachers back to the table. The Premier expressing similar sentiments on her weekend radio show. We just heard a bit there from the ATA. So from the government standpoint, what's keeping these talks at an impasse?
Well, I would say, we had two mediation dates booked when the ATA broke off negotiations. So from our perspective, we were at the table. We want these talks to continue. We want to land this in a good place. We've proactively came to the table, we think, with a very fair deal that addresses, both salary and wage concerns and also classroom size, classroom complexity. We've heard that need loud and clear, and we agree it's something that we need to try to address. And coming off 4.4% population growth, it's an extreme challenge. But we're proud of the deal that we put on the table. We think it's a fair deal. In April, we had a deal that the bargaining team recommended to teachers. It didn't ratify. They came back and said we want to see more regarding teacher hiring and addressing classroom size. They wanted to see 3,000 teachers, a pledge to hire 3,000 net new teachers over the next 3 years, and we said yes. And then they walked away from the table.
Okay, so now go ahead, sir.
We mostly just want some clarification what they're looking for. We think we've addressed their needs and want to continue this conversation.
Okay.
Keep kids in school.
Okay, so you're looking for clarification. How willing then is the government to move beyond your current bargaining position, maybe to trigger a new round of talks, or are you holding fast?
Well, we've got $2.3 billion on the table. Major commitment. It's very hard to bargain when the goalposts are shifting, when priorities aren't made clear what the other side is asking for. So we want to see, we want that clarification about what they're really looking for. I just updated the province that we're in a deteriorating fiscal position and projecting a $6.5 billion deficit this year. Next year doesn't look good with forecasted oil prices. So all things considered, I think what you see on the table is a proactive deal that respects teachers and respects class sizes and all the challenges we're facing as a province.
What do you take away from the mediated deal with the AUP that could maybe be applied to these negotiations with teachers? How similar or different are the two dynamics?
Well, there's similarities, but every negotiating table is very different. What's happened in Alberta over the past, so let's say, decade and a half, Alberta was an outlier in a big way regarding salaries. There's been a lot of concerted effort over the last 15 years to get Alberta in alignment with our comparator provinces. We like to look at the Ontario West average. We think that's where the most labor mobility is if we're going to lose someone, a teacher or a nurse, to leave the province to go somewhere else. We don't want to see those kind of recruitment and retention issues. But the thing that's similar with AUPE and a lot of the other settlements we've reached is the general wage increase of 3% over 4 years. So we're very committed to that stance. We think that is the appropriate place that'll keep us in market. While we're doing that, we're also adding targeted adjustments to specific occupations. And that we saw with UNA, we saw that with AUPE, and we will see it with teachers. The deal that's on the table, it's 12% over 4 years, but 95% of teachers would see more than that, up to 17%, depending where they sit in the grid. So there's similarities, but differences. The teachers' negotiation, we've brought in their concerns around class sizes in a different way that isn't applicable to other talks.
Okay, how long do you allow this impasse with the ATA to languish before you make some sort of move? To what degree is the clock ticking here from your perspective?
Well, the kids are in school. That's our main concern and thing we want to ensure continues. The ATA has to give a 72-hour strike notice if that's the direction that they choose to go, and we will reactively respond accordingly. But I don't want to dwell on those things. I think it's more important that we just focus that there's a good deal on the table. Talks can continue. We're happy to pick up where we left off and land this deal so Alberta parents and families have some certainty.
Okay, and maybe on that point, to finish the conversation, what message do you have for Alberta parents who are anxiously waiting on the sidelines?
Well, I hope they just see that there's the government's coming at this from a thoughtful position. Education is important first and foremost to educate the next generation, but practically we know that parents need to know where their kids are going to be while they go to work. So that's certainly not lost on us. But we need a deal that makes sense for the province now and going forward, and we're committed to that. But we will see where this takes us. But we're going to have the position of Alberta families, first and foremost in our minds.
All right, Minister, we'll leave it there for time. Appreciate your time this evening, sir. Thanks kindly for your perspective.
Thank you very much.
That's Nate Horner, Alberta's Minister of Finance and President of Treasury Board.